What's going on, guys? Welcome on in. Happy Thursday, May 16th. It is a beautiful day to be alive, and we are live watching some stocks. We had jobless claims come out this morning. 221,000 was a forecast. And that number, let me pull it up. Let me pull up the details for the news streamer. Might as well get into this really quick because we got a couple minutes until the market opens. So, that was at 8:30. Let me go back to 8:30. Jobless claims come in 222,000 versus an 231,000 previous estimate was 220K, so it came in about 2,000 more than the estimate. Continuing claims came in just a bit more than the estimates as well, and also a bit more than last week. And a bunch of other data came out as well, which was not super impactful to the market, it seemed like. Anything else? Let's see. U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics inadvertently published consumer price index data 30 minutes early on Wednesday, raising fresh questions about how the agency releases some of the world's most sensitive economic information. That's actually hilarious. Industrial production is unchanged in April. Anything else coming out today? 10 a.m. No, just some Fed speakers in some interviews and whatever, which it doesn't seem like that will be. It could move the markets, but I don't think it will move the markets that big of a deal. But that's, something that'll be coming out 10 a.m., 10:30, 12. So there could be some Fed speaking, little jarring here and there. I did see this headline come through, and I thought it was hilarious. Ray Dalio believes there is a 35 to 40% chance of a civil war in the U.S. Gotta love just random ass people. I mean, he's not a random ass guy. I guess he built a pretty big hedge fund, but oh man, comes out with and then they make you want. This is one of those articles that they make you want to read. But at the end of the day, who gives a shit? And the reason why though is because people are going to start moving to states. This is already happening. I mean, it's already happening. So I don't think that's really that crazy. People are already moving to those states. You saw a lot. I mean, that's a thing. I mean, like if you're a super right leaning, you're probably not going to move to LA. You know what I mean? Like, or New York City. So, but you can, I don't know. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but people already know that shit. And if people are that sensitive to politics though, then you're already doing that. But I think most people are like, don't give a shit other than like taxes. They're like, oh, well, if I got to move to California, like, yeah, it'd be nice, but the taxes suck ass, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to Florida instead. People do what they're going to do. I thought it was funny, so I figured I'd pull it up. But either way, market is about to open up. We are looking at, let me go pull up futures. They're pretty much flat. They kind of moved up a little bit overnight, and then have kind of come back down a little bit after the data came out this morning. So nothing crazy. The 10-year is up barely. Yeah, it's up a little bit off of that data release, but nothing crazy there as well. So big move down yesterday on the 10-year though. So it wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of bounce. The dollar up a little bit off of the big move down yesterday. Silver and gold are down a little bit after some big moves yesterday. So not super surprised on that. Oil's up about 1%. That actually looks pretty good, or a little wonky. I don't want to say pretty good. I'm going to say wonky because two big wicks to the downside getting bought up, which would maybe signal a double bottom reversal to the upside here on oil. Maybe if you really want to get cute, but either way, we're still kind of in a consolidation. And then we're kind of trending down as of late, but overall, oil is like in the middle of a chop zone that I don't really care much about. But the S&P though, SPY, man, yesterday went hard. It was up to hit 530. And this morning hit 530, almost 531. So pretty crazy move there. Market's going to open here in about 30 seconds. So we'll see the open. I have one open position, and then I'll be looking for something else if we get something that looks good. I have a bunch of stuff that I charted out yesterday on the live that I have on a list. So we'll look at them. If they look juicy, then maybe we'll take a look or a stab, but it's got to obviously make sense. How are AMC and GameStop doing? Let's check them out. AMC down 8%. This I wanted to do it yesterday, but I didn't. It happened in the after hours anyway. But I was like, this just has the looks, dude, of a freaking bear flag setting up right here. And that's exactly kind of what's happened. It's down another 7% overnight. But, at this point, your risk reward, especially if it falls back to 4, oh, man, the risk reward is not that appealing anymore. But GameStop definitely has more room to come down than AMC for sure. And this chart does not look good either. So if you're a GameStopper, should be careful because you are maybe on the brink of, a much bigger move down under $30 if that happens. But so far, you've got backside establishing pretty well. Every pop is going to be, tough to regain momentum. Maybe they can make him bounce, but I think there'll be some heavy, heavy pressure into every bounce that those two stocks see over the next, couple of days at a minimum. So market's now open. We'll take a peek at what's going on. Tesla down again. This is a stock that, I'm not going to short it, but that is a short breakdown level right there for, under 173. That looks pretty juicy, and you're getting a nice move already. But I don't touch things like the first 5-10 minutes of the day. Really the first 15. But if it's a big picture swing, I wouldn't be opposed to getting in after like 10 minutes if it was a swing on the daily time frame. But yeah, I need no like day trades at all that this close. Nvidia, I don't know if I'm going to touch that at this point. I would potentially day trade it if I saw a good setup. The issue that I have with it though is that you've got earnings in less than a week now, and you're coming up to all-time highs. It could break all-time highs prior to earnings, don't get me wrong, but I think you're going to have a lot more, pressure on it, and people a little more skeptical of it, if it does get to that level of all-time highs prior to earnings, and more so looking for it to be a wait-and-see event after earnings. So, but, you never know. Anything could happen. AMD's up about 1%, so AMD looks pretty good. Apple's up a little bit today, but nothing crazy. JP Morgan, I'm looking for 204. That's where my sell is. So we're about $1.60 away. Here are the charts I was looking at. PDD is one above 143. BKNG could be interesting above 38.10. These are some interesting, and I haven't I would be skeptical on trading these, but I also wouldn't because the chart's really good. So I'm when I say skeptical, I just haven't traded Booking Holdings ever. You know what I mean? But the chart looks good, so why not? It's the same thing as anything else, So we'll keep an eye on it. eBay, we're thinking about if it pops above 53, could be really interesting. I have alerts set for all these levels too. 3M, this one went off in pre-market, so I didn't touch it, obviously, but beautiful freaking move right there. How did it do off the open? So it pretty much just kind of opened up and ripped. It does look really good. This was on a 1 hour time frame, but I was more interested in it. And because it's now 3 minutes after open, I'm not going to be able to get in because it's already broken the level by a long shot. But very nice breakout above 101.75 or so. Costco was a similar look. This one is interesting because we'll see how Costco does. If it can hold the lows right here, pretty much holding let's say 788, 787. If it can hold that level, you've got a daily or a 4 hour chart that would be a new all-time high on. It already made a new all-time high on Costco, and really in breakout mode. The only problem that I would have is that it had a really big week last week, so maybe it needs some time to cool off a bit. But either way, chart doesn't look too shabby when you look at the 4 hour and the daily time frame. It's very, very strong. So something to keep an eye on. And then GM, we were watching to see if it breaks above 46.11, which if that happened on good volume, it's a beauty. That's also a beauty. So there's some good looking charts out there. Don't get me wrong. GM is a really good one because, this has been coiling up for a while. I like that a lot. Maybe not the most, incredible momentum trader, right? The stock is not something that I would normally see a lot of volume or a lot of momentum, but could be juicy. So we'll see. We'll watch it. That's the plan, baby. But it is early in the day. And we are 3M is the best mover, though. It's a nice pop. And we'll watch the rest. I guess JP Morgan has promise. That does have some pretty good promise. Less than $1.50 to go, so I might take profit. What else we got going on here? Let's check this. Yeah, a little bit of a mixed bag. You got the Russell down a bit, the Dow up a little bit, S&P and NASDAQ about flat. You've got the 10-year up a tiny bit. You've got biotechs are down. Yeah, you got a mixed bag here today. Meta was strong yesterday. Now it's down, over 1% today. Kind of interesting. Target's doing well. PDD just crossed my alert for a second, but now it's on the radar. But I'm looking for high volume though on the break. So you'd want to go down to like the 15-minute time. I will go down to the 15-minute time frame, and I would say to you that we got a good little volume push so far the first 15 minutes. It's only been 6 minutes of the day, but it's a really good volume push because we haven't seen volume this high since Monday. It was very high Monday for whatever reason. It was also very high on Thursday, May 2nd for whatever reason, but also not really for whatever reason. That was a breakout. That was a technical breakout over this level right here. So, dude, this chart, honestly, I like this one. I like this one a lot. Very strong. And then all it would be is if we clear that, 143 area. I'm going to put another alert there at 143. Did it break? No, yeah. It didn't break 143 yet. Crossing up. If we break that 143 and we can get a nice push above that, I mean, that's a great looking chart. So, and then your stop loss would be today's low, which is 141. So it's pretty straight. It would be a pretty straightforward look. So you'd go, I would play let's say a 143, like 15 entry. Let's just estimate 141 stop, and take profit would be for a 2-to-1, 147 roughly. Just above one, which is not that high. 147 I would like, maybe 147.50, which just prior to this spike right here after the earnings. Now that's a key spot, so I would go 147.50 because 148.25 is that high. So I'm going to make sure we sell before that. So 147.50 would be a pretty good target in my view, just to be kind of safe. So that would be the look. If we get above 143, which it got just shy, and then it hit it, and then it pulled back. But we'll watch how this day goes. Because volume so far looks good on it. So far. But right now we're rejecting that level initially. And we're only 8 minutes into the day. So yeah, it had a nice spike up, and then it's pulled back. So we'll watch. But maybe it's not going to go. Bunch of risk on stuff is down. GameStop and... Dude, GameStop's chart. GameStop's about to break down pretty nasty, in my opinion. This right here, oh man, that's a spot and a half. That would be a really nice trade. Honestly, that's like, I mean, I under 31. I'll put an alert on that so we can watch it. Only problem that you're gonna have is that it would be down 20+% already, which would be a lot. It could totally go down more in a day, but that's a lot. You tend to see on some of these stocks is that they could just bleed out, between 5 and 10% every day or almost every day for like 2 weeks straight. And so it's kind of a slow, like they squeeze out and go hard on the upside, and then they kind of have like a slower bleed to the downside, but eventually they get there, but they kind of bleed. And it's not that easy to play because you go to options and there's decay on those options, pretty nasty. You can use shares. If you can get shares, great. If you can't get shares, or if there's a hard to borrow rates that are super high, then it gets complicated. But underneath that level looks like I mean, it's also kind of lining up with this, so there might be some area that might be like that 30-31 area will be an area of interest. But if it fails that, $20 is like really not that crazy to think about. Like pretty quickly in the coming days, I would think. After that, if it fails 30, 31, 30, roughly. So we'll watch that. But yeah, 3M is the strongest baby of the day. Looks really good. Costco. Yeah, maybe Costco could be interesting if it can hold up. But 3M is clearly the strongest on the list from yesterday. But missed it because it happened too quick, which is fine. Sometimes that'll happen, and I'm not gonna bother chasing it. Foot is freaking itchy. Check out my red list. So these were stocks I was looking at on the potential downside trade, but we're not going to get the S&P to cooperate there, so I don't really like these, but they still look pretty weak. They are still relatively weak. The FedEx looks pretty nasty. Does not look that good. You kind of have, you've got a little bit of a consolidation break happening right now. We're about to happen right now on FedEx. If it fails this 258 area, like, whew, could be a nice drop down to 256, maybe more. Maybe. 10 years up 0.44 on the day so far, which is whatever. Oh, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's pushing hard. That's actually interesting. I was curious to see how this would do. But that's looking pretty good. Pretty strong so far today. AMD's up the most out of my list. NVIDIA number 2, then Google. Google's been strong. Yeah, look at that. It has been. Tesla has not. The Russell. ARK for risk on view. Not much going on there. Coinbase, what's Bitcoin up to? Down 0.25% after being up like 6 or 7% yesterday or something like that. It was up a decent amount yesterday. So we are in a wait mode. Waiting around. JPM got up to 20 or 202.80, like 5. So still like it's right within reach of target, but we're just waiting on it. 3M looks really good. Let me check that 15-minute volume. Yeah, volume looks pretty good off of it so far, and we're still got 2 more minutes in the candle. So great look there. Obviously missed it, but great look on it. Happened too early. Where's that daily chart look? Looks pretty good. You kind of had a little bit of a consolidation break here. Yeah, you had a little flaggy flag. You can even say that we had one here if you really got cute. So it's just looking really strong. It's just a great strong stock for now, which is what you'd want to see if you're trading momentum to the upside. Trying to see if anything else looks good or that's interesting. No, mixed bag, man. Mixed bag. That's all I see. See a pretty good mixed bag. Costco does look really good. Yeah, Costco could be the trade there. Honestly, it could be because yeah, you Past 5 minutes, you really just showed some good strength. And so, what was the idea yesterday? We were saying, I think yesterday we were looking at this and we were saying, like, break that level, targeting 800, stop. I mean, the trade would be, if I traded it right now, would simply be enter, let's just say enter right now if I got in. Stop loss low a day, because you're breaking out, and then target would be, what's $800? $800 would be just about a 1-to-1. So you need to go more than $800 for a very good trade on Costco. But I like the look of it though. And it had good volume on that candle too. So I like that. That's tradable. Stop would be 788 roughly. 788. Target would be like 805. You can start scaling out 800. Cost. Oh, 804. Just be a little bit cautious on the 805. Yeah, it's about a 2-to-1 to get 804. Oh, I didn't put a market order. You cancel that and redo it. I wonder what the market could get a little spready there. Okay. 804 on Costco we're looking for, which is a decent ways out, but 4-hour chart was the idea. We broke above a pretty good spot, and this morning we watched it pretty much just back test into, yesterday's top of consolidation, held the back test, and now it's up. So ideally, it's pretty simple. I mean, if it breaks under the low, then get the fuck out. If it doesn't, then this looks good, and it might just do this. Who knows? We could get a chop all day, but we'll see. So that's the idea on Costco. We'll see what happens. But on the 1-hour chart, it looks good. Yeah, I've got a clean break. This is really discovered on the 4-hour though. This would be a 4-hour time frame trade, which could 4-hour time frame trade could be a day trade, could be a swing trade. Depends on how you view it. Depends on how it closes, in my view. If it closes underneath or around 790, then I would just cut it. If it closes near 800, I would leave it on. It's kind of my view on the swing. So we'll see what happens. Costco's a good one. Costco's funny. Is one that got away, I think, a long time ago. I forget when I was looking at it, but I think it was back here. Yeah. Well, when I say it was the one that got away, was I really going to trade it? Probably not. But it was like I was watching this break to the upside here pretty closely. And when it broke that, I was like, oh shit, that could be great. But that was back in almost a year ago. It was like 8-9 months ago, or 10 months ago, 11 months ago. But that was like, that would have been like, how do you trade that? It would have been tough because you had to go to the weekly time frame. And then, it would have been good, but which would have taken like months to play out. So that's the only concern about it, Let's get rid of this. We don't need that. That was yesterday's trade recap. Or I guess today's trade recap. That hasn't been posted yet. But yeah. So we chill. GM looks like it's getting good. It's getting interesting. Robinhood doing pretty well here today. Interestingly there. Must be, well, it's market going up. Good for Robinhood. Bitcoin going up. Good for Robinhood. More people using the platform. More money for them. Robinhood's a fun one to think about from like a sentiment and like interest perspective. Like if you think about Robinhood as like, if you were to invest or trade, not necessarily technically, but more based off of like, oh, the market's really like topping, or the market's really, you know, overbought right now, or there's a lot of hype right now. There's a lot of short squeeze, like, you know, a lot of like people who are new to the market getting in crypto and stocks. Like when that goes on for a little bit of time, and you know, you can kind of get a sense of like, hey, there's like everybody and their grandmother in right now in the market or involved in stocks in some way. When you get that sense, like that's an opportunity to play the inverse. And the same thing on the flip side, when nobody, like the markets are boring or really, really weak for a long time, and it's like, oh my gosh. And that would have been your opportunity right here from 2022 through most of 2023, or the entire, pretty much the whole year 2023, you know, that would have been like that opportunity to be potentially dollar cost averaging into it if you were to potentially trade that way, which, you know, it's kind of a risky way to do it because you have to have, I would think, a pretty good strategy behind it. You can't just be doing it willy-nilly, but it could be good though. I mean, that's like, dude, I mean, if you had to pick a stock to short if the market were to implode or we had to go into a massive recession, I mean, Robinhood would be an amazing stock to short because, dude, no one's going to be using Robinhood anymore because no one's got money to invest, or, you know what I mean? Like no one's going to care. They're going to be pulling their money out of Robinhood because they got to pay the bills, you know, which means less money for Robinhood. And that could be done for a lot of other stocks or companies out there. It's not like Robinhood's the only one that you can do that or think that way, but that's, you know, an interesting one to watch. And it's like a pretty volatile name, so it moves a good bit. Yep, so far Costco as well, volume-wise, looks good to me. You know, off the morning so far, we have, you know, off the first hour candle, which has still got 7 more minutes to go until it closes. Here's your volume. It's pretty high. We've had higher volume 1 hour candles, but those were at the end of the day. So based off the first hour of the day or so, we have the most volume that I've seen in many, many weeks on Costco, which is a great sign for a breakout. Great sign for a breakout. So everything works. Like everything is checked the boxes on this one. There's nothing that hasn't checked the boxes in my view. So it is just kind of a set it and now let it go. Especially when it's on a 4 hour time frame, there's not much to do. You can sit here all day and watch it, but there's not much to do. You just like it, just set the target, set the take profit, and that's it. And let it do its thing. Either it's going to do it or it's not going to do it. And then you come back at the end of the day, and if it didn't hit take profit or stop loss, you can go, okay, do I want to hold overnight? Where are we at? How's the momentum look? What's the volume look like, etc. And then make do your, you know, risk assessment at that point and go from there. That's kind of how I would go about it. That's what I'm going to do. So nothing else to do there. So we can leave it alone. And let's see. So SPY's up a little bit. Qs are up a little bit. The Dow is flat, but up a tiny bit. The Russell is down about 0.5%. So risk on stocks taking a bit of a breather after, I guess, yesterday was a pretty strong day for them. Nvidia sitting at 950. What about SMCI? It's been a volatile one. That one did try to go like 10 minutes ago, but pulled back off of that push. So it broke over yesterday's high, then it pulled back. But a lot of volume there. Actually very good volume so far today on SMCI. Check this out though. This is on the bigger time frames. I was looking at this one yesterday and I was like, if I had to trade, I'm not trading it, but if I had to trade it, you know, I'd be like, oh, got to go long here, dude, because I would go long with the stop loss underneath yesterday's low. So this area right here is interesting. And if that's the trade, then the targets are going to be somewhere up in here, which would be near all-time highs, which is crazy to think about because these stocks, you almost thought were going to kind of pull like the GameStop and the AMC at some point, but they really have not yet. It pulled back, and it pulled back a lot, relatively speaking, in terms of percentage-wise. Like, it pulled back 45% from highs, but the problem was that, not the problem, the thing was it just went up so much more that 45% off the highs is not that crazy. From, like, in the grand scheme of this run, from this, you know, crazy move to the highs, it retraced, like, not even halfway. Not even half the move was retraced. And so now it's like, that's a great sign of a freaking strong stock. That's all I can say. I mean, so, and volumes aren't coming back in. I mean, this looks like it could be maybe setting up. Problem that you're going to have, though, on this is that NVIDIA's got earnings on Wednesday next week. So if NVIDIA earnings are not good, I would imagine that the sector probably takes a hit, at least momentarily. And then we'll see how things digest it after that. So you got to be watching NVIDIA. Everyone, all eyes are going to be on NVIDIA likely next week anyway, because it's one of the strongest stocks in the market. It's almost approaching all-time highs. It might even touch all-time highs before next week, which would be crazy. And if it does, then, I mean, get ready for some craziness, I guess. You know. So, Costco's put a new high of the day in, just shy of 796, which is kind of cool. We are looking for a push. So far, you've already had range. The push percentage-wise from here to target that I have is only a 1% move, roughly. You know, so it's not that crazy of a move. Costco is up 1% on the day. It would need to be up 2% on the day for me to achieve that target, which it could do. It's had some days where it's done that. But I like to look at that sometimes just to get a sense of like, okay, you know, what do we actually need? Yesterday, Costco was up about 1%, a little over 1%. Okay. Some of these candles, this green candle right here, Costco is up about 2%. So it could do it in a day, but that would be a big day. So I can't like essentially expect that to happen today necessarily based off the 4-hour time frame. So I can always say to myself by the end of the day what I want to do. And if it's above $800, but it's not at my target, what I could do is sell half of it and then leave half of it on for tomorrow, and then that's it. Move my stop loss to break even and leave half on. There's ways to handle it if it hasn't gotten there, and that's kind of how I had to handle. You know, I think it was Wells Fargo in the past, and it was Home Depot a couple weeks ago, or like a week ago. You know, there's some stuff like that where it's like, oh, you got to make that decision for yourself. And usually when if it doesn't it take profit or stop loss, but it gets very close to one of the other. If it's very close to take profit, I will just take half of it off prior to the night. If it's very close to stop loss, I'll just take the whole thing off. And that's usually what I'll do. If I don't want to hold, or if I have to hold a weekend or overnight, I'm like, you know. Look at 3M though. 3M, it was 3M and Costco yesterday that we were talking about was like the best looking charts. 3M has done very, very well. It's up 2.5%. Very nice breakout. Just happened so fast at the beginning of the day and it just hasn't looked back. Didn't get a chance to get in, but great looking chart there though. Great looking move. We like to see it. Good for the market. Good for momentum. Good for momentum, people. So, alrighty. Well, SPY went to a new high there. Well, it's nearing high today. High of the pre-market was up around just shy of 531. So keep an eye on that. But it doesn't look too shabby. But I think I'm going to wrap up for today because there's not much to do. But we got in on Costco. We'll see what happens there. We're in on JP Morgan, so we're going to be waiting on that one to do something, which it's pretty much flat on the day. It was up a bit. Now it's come back a bit, but it's like, it's not really doing much. It's flat. Overall, daily chart looks great still. My stop loss has been moved to break even, so I can't lose in the trade. And now we just wait. So that said, I'm going to wrap up. I'll be back. We'll be back for a live stream on Friday. Today's Thursday. We'll be back on Friday in the afternoon for Power Hour, and then I will see you later. Peace. Enjoy your Thursday.